So let me do it this way, perfect. And let me see. We started. And can you tell us your name and who you're with and what you did today?
Okay, I'm Debra. I'm the director of The World Can't Wait in New York, and I came down with hundreds of people to be outside the gates at Fort Meade, Maryland, because on Monday, June 3rd, Bradley Manning is going to be tried in a U.S. Army military court-martial. This is the most important political trial of the century. Seriously, we're young in the century, but this is the most important political trial because Bradley is going on trial really for his whole life. And he's accused of some very serious crimes by the U.S. government of leaking information about the U.S. military and other diplomatic operations since 9/11. He was working in Army intelligence as a sergeant, fairly low level. He, like hundreds of thousands of people, had access all to the same information, and they learned about everyday operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, about U.S. diplomatic cables, talking about other countries, setting up deals with other countries. All of this was made public by WikiLeaks in the year 2010, 2011. And Bradley Manning has claimed responsibility for releasing some of that information because he said he wanted the American people living in this country, to know what happened. And if they did know what happened, then they would be able to make decisions about whether they want their country to be doing things like this or not, which included the famous collateral murder video, which was the first thing that came out from this trove of information that WikiLeaks put up in 2010. It was an Apache helicopter killing 12 Iraqi civilians, including 2 journalists. And it was the chatter of the U.S. military in the Apache helicopter that was so disturbing and yet so normal, and so much the way these operations were carried out, that disturbed millions and millions of people the world over. And we support what Bradley Manning did in his efforts to get out the truth about what the U.S. military has been doing. We oppose this terrible criminal charges that the U.S. has brought, and we hope that justice comes out of this court-martial. We're very concerned that it won't, so hundreds of us gathered outside the gate at Fort Meade today, where his trial is going to start on Monday.
What was the reception at Fort Meade to your presence?
Oh, well, the reception was lots of police, lots and lots and lots of police and surveillance. They treated us as if we were the problem, that us expressing our First Amendment rights of speech and assembly was some kind of a problem for the military. And the rest, mainly tried to ignore us, but they had a huge police presence.
Okay. And you said this is probably the most important trial that we had, and why is that? What specifically is so important that people, Americans, need to know?
Well, this is for a political crime. There was no allegations of anything violent, mean, for his own gain, nothing for financial gain, that they're even accusing Bradley Manning of doing. And they admit in the papers that we've been able to see, the U.S. government, that Bradley Manning did this. They're charging that he did this, and he's admitted doing some of it of his own volition because he wanted to make the world a better place. So this in itself makes it a very dramatic trial. But this is millions of pages of documents. Interestingly, not one single shred of example of harm that's come to anybody within the U.S. or any other country because of the release of these documents. But the U.S. government is very, very angry about it, and they are out for blood. They want to put Bradley in prison for the rest of his life.
Okay. And finally, tell us a little more about your organization.
Well, we were formed in 2005 to drive out the Bush regime because we felt that George Bush and Dick Cheney and what they had done to the rest of the world and to this country with these 2 major occupations of Iraq and Afghanistan, the torture that still continues to this day in Guantanamo and Bagram, and this homemade police state that they've developed where now the people have no privacy and the government has all the privacy. Has turned what should be a situation where the private people have privacy and the government is transparent. It's turned it upside down. All of these things from the Bush and Cheney regime were things that we came together to stop, and now that Obama's the president, we're just as concerned, in fact more so, about the drone war, the continued opening of Guantanamo, all sorts of things that have increased. In fact, Obama's gone after whistleblowers much more than any other president in history. 6 people now have been prosecuted since Obama's been president, compared to 2 the whole prior history of the United States.
Okay. And finally, if people want to find out more about your organization or they want to support Bradley, where can they get more information?
2 good places to go. To learn about Bradley Manning, go to bradleymanning.org. And to learn about Bradley and many other things that our organization is doing, go to worldcan'twait.net.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
That was fun.
Wish you the best
Thank
of luck.
you.
You have a